The dog knows the backpack is not abandoned. It has been left behind on purpose. Deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains, where the last light of October fades between wet pines, Ranger stands over a child's blue backpack as if guarding the doorway to another world. His black and tan coat is dark with rain. Mud clings to his paws. His ears remain high, his amber eyes fixed on anyone who comes too close. He does not bark. That is what troubles Staff Sergeant Caleb Mercer most. Ranger always saves his voice for certainty. The white Marine stands 10 feet away, broad shoulders tense beneath a faded field jacket, watching the German shepherd hold his ground. Around them, the forest seems to breathe through the fog. Water taps against leaves. Wind moves softly through the hemlocks. Somewhere far below the ridge, a swollen creek rolls over stone with the low, restless sound of distant thunder. "Easy boy," Caleb says. His voice is quiet, shaped by years of giving commands without wasting words. Ranger glances at him, then looks back at the backpack. The search party has been in the woods for less than 20 minutes. They came after a hiker reported hearing a dog barking near an abandoned logging trail, but no dog had been found. Only Ranger. Only the backpack. And the strange way he refuses to leave it. A volunteer named Owen Price steps forward, young, nervous, his orange rain shell bright against the gray woods. "Maybe there's food inside," he says, "or something with another animal's scent." He reaches for the top handle. Ranger rises in one smooth motion and places himself between Owen and the bag. No growl, no teeth, just 75 pounds of disciplined warning. Owen stops. Caleb lifts one hand. "Don't touch it." "He your dog?" Owen asks. "My partner." Caleb studies the ground. The backpack lies beneath the roots of an old tulip poplar, half covered in leaves as though someone tried to hide it from the rain. One strap is torn. A plastic keychain shaped like a red rocket hangs from the zipper, turning slowly in the wind. The bag is too small for an adult. Elementary school size. Caleb crouches several feet away, careful not to cross the boundary Ranger has drawn. The air smells of wet bark, cold earth, and the faint metallic bite that comes before a hard storm. He notices a smear of mud on the front pocket. Not random. 5 narrow marks. A child's handprint. His chest tightens. "Sheriff," he calls. Hannah Doyle comes down the trail with a flashlight in one hand and a radio in the other. She is in her early 40s, steady-eyed, practical, the kind of woman who listens before deciding what she believes. She takes in the scene without speaking. "Ranger." "The backpack." Caleb kneeling in the leaves. "What do we have?" she asks. "Possible child in the area," Caleb says. "The bag was placed here. It wasn't dropped while someone was running." Hannah sweeps her light over the ground. 2 faint trails lead away from the tree. One descends toward the creek. The other climbs into thicker woods where the old logging road disappears under ferns and storm debris. Rain has softened both sets of prints until they are little more than dents in the earth. "Could be hikers," Owen says from behind them. "A family stopped to rest." Caleb does not answer. His gaze settles on Ranger. The K-9 is not tracking either trail. He remains beside the backpack, body angled protectively over it. Caleb has seen him guard injured Marines, unexploded equipment, and once a newborn fawn hidden beside a training field. But this is different. Ranger is not protecting what is inside. He is protecting where it was found. He thinks this is a scene, Caleb says. Hannah looks at him. "You trust that?" Caleb touches the 2 worn dog tags beneath his shirt. The metal is cold against his fingers. There was a time when he trusted Ranger faster than he trusted himself. Then came a mission he does not discuss, a map that looked more certain than a dog's instinct, and a decision that still wakes him before dawn. He looks into Ranger's eyes now. "Yes." Hannah motions everyone back. Caleb moves closer, one slow step at a time. "Ranger, place." The shepherd lowers himself, but he does not move away. Caleb kneels beside the bag. He sees more details now. A dried pine needle caught in the zipper. A smear of something pale on the shoulder strap. Chalk, perhaps. The kind children use. On sidewalks. Near the bottom seam, several strands of long brown hair cling to the fabric. A mother's. A sister's. He cannot know. Then he notices the ground beneath it. A shallow line in the mud runs from the backpack toward the downhill trail, while a second line curves uphill. 2 directions. 2 people, perhaps. Or one person who changes course. Hannah leans closer. "Can you open it?" Caleb reaches toward the zipper. Ranger's ears tilt forward. Easy, Caleb whispers. I see it. His fingers close around the small metal pole. Before he can move it, a sound rises from inside the backpack. Thin, broken, almost swallowed by the rain. Everyone freezes. At first, Caleb thinks it is a toy losing power. Then the sound comes again, shaped by breath and fear. A child's voice, small and trembling, speaking from somewhere inside the sealed bag. Mom, it whispers. Please stay awake. Caleb does not move for several seconds. The child's voice fades into a soft crackle, leaving only rain against leaves and the distant rush of water below the ridge. Ranger remains beside him, still as carved stone, amber eyes fixed on the backpack. Sheriff Hannah Doyle lowers her radio. Even Owen, who has been shifting nervously behind them, falls silent. The recording begins again. Mom, please stay awake. The words are weak, but clear. Then comes a scrape, a breath, and the faint sound of running water. Caleb places one hand on Ranger's shoulder. The dog's muscles are tight beneath the wet fur. You heard him too, Caleb murmurs. Ranger blinks once. Caleb pulls the zipper slowly. The teeth separate with a damp metallic sound. Inside, everything is arranged with the strange care of someone who knows the bag may be found before they are. A red child's jacket is folded across the top, soaked through at one sleeve. Beneath it rests a plastic lunchbox, a small flashlight, 2 granola bars, and a clear medical pouch. Caleb lifts the pouch into Hannah's flashlight beam. A white label is attached to the front. Noah Bennett, age 9, type 1 diabetes. Sheriff, Caleb says, and the weight in his voice changes the air around them. Hannah leans closer. Inside the pouch is a glucose meter, several test strips, and one small tube of glucose gel. The tube has been opened. Almost all of it is gone. How long can a child his age go without this? Owen asks. Hannah is already reaching for her radio. That depends on his blood sugar, how far he walked, whether he ate, and how cold he is. She keys the microphone. Base, this is Doyle. We have evidence of a missing child, male, 9 years old, insulin dependent. Possible second victim, adult female. Begin emergency search protocol and contact county rescue. Static answers first. Then a dispatcher confirms. Caleb looks deeper into the backpack. The small recorder lies near the bottom, its green light blinking beneath a packet of crayons. He lifts it carefully. The device is old, the kind sold for school projects, with a cracked corner and a strip of blue tape across the battery cover. One button is still pressed down. Caleb stops the playback, then starts it again from the beginning. A child breathes close to the microphone. Wind hisses around him. My name is Noah Bennett. I am 9. We were on the wood bridge, and it broke on one side. Mom fell down near the creek. She cannot stand up. The voice pauses. A quiet sniff. Then, with the careful seriousness of a child trying to sound older than he is, Noah continues. She told me to stay with her, but it is getting dark. I am going to find someone. If you find my backpack, please help my mom first. The recording ends. No one speaks. Somewhere overhead, thunder rolls through the mountains, low and slow. Caleb looks toward the 2 trails. The downhill marks lead toward the creek. The uphill impressions disappear beneath wet ferns. Noah has left the backpack at the fork because he understands that a bright blue bag is easier to find than a small boy in a dark forest. He has also left his medicine behind. Either he forgot it in fear, or he believed someone else would need the clues more than he would need the supplies. He made a marker, Caleb says. Hannah nods. And a message. He is thinking clearly. He was when he recorded it. The last word settles heavily between them. Was. Ranger lowers his nose to the torn strap and draws in a long breath. Then he smells the jacket, the medical pouch, and the recorder. His ears turn toward the uphill path. Caleb watches every movement. Find Noah, he says. Ranger does not move. Instead, he looks downhill toward the creek, then back at Caleb. 2 scents. 2 people. 2 directions. Hannah sees it too. Can he separate them? Yes, Caleb says. But we have to give him the right priority. The rain strengthens, drumming against Caleb's shoulders and filling the shallow prints at his boots. The forest is erasing the trail by the second. Hannah calls for the volunteers to mark the backpack location and establish a search point. Orange tape appears from a pack. Flashlights sweep through the trees. Voices rise over radio static as teams begin moving toward the ridge. Caleb kneels again and studies the bag. Near the inner seam, he finds a school identification card in a clear pocket. Noah smiles from the photograph with uneven front teeth and light brown hair falling across his forehead. Beneath his name is the address of an elementary school outside Asheville. A silver star sticker covers one corner. On the back, written in green marker, are 4 words. Brave means going back. Caleb reads them twice. Something old and painful stirs beneath his ribs. He knows what it means to go forward because someone is waiting. He also knows what it costs to turn back when every part of the world tells you to save yourself. Ranger suddenly rises. His head angles toward the trees above the logging road. A gust of wind moves down the slope, carrying wet pine, creek water, cold stone, and something only he can separate from the storm. The shepherd takes 3 steps uphill, stops, and looks back. Caleb closes the medical pouch and places it inside his jacket where it will stay dry. Hannah catches his arm. The creek team is forming now. That is where the adult likely is. Caleb looks at Ranger. The dog's body points uphill, but his eyes return once more to the backpack, unwilling to abandon the place where Noah's message waits. Noah left to find help, Caleb says. If he kept climbing, his blood sugar may already be dropping. Hannah studies the darkening slope. And his mother? Your team follows the creek. Ranger and I follow the boy. Lightning glows behind the clouds, turning the fog pale for a single breath. Then darkness folds back over the woods. Hannah releases Caleb's arm. Keep your radio open. I will. Caleb shoulders his pack and gives Ranger the command. The German shepherd moves at once, swift but controlled, following the invisible thread rising through the trees. Behind them, Noah's backpack remains beneath the poplar, marked by orange tape and guarded now by human hands. Ahead, the old logging road narrows into shadow. Caleb follows Ranger into it, carrying the medicine of a child who may not have much time left, while somewhere deeper in the mountain, the first hard drops of the coming storm begin to fall. The old logging road climbs through the mountain like a scar the forest has spent years trying to hide. Ferns brush Caleb's knees. Rhododendron branches drag against his jacket. 20 yards ahead, Ranger moves with his nose low and his tail level, reading the wet earth one breath at a time. The rain has not yet become a downpour, but it falls steadily now, cold enough to numb Caleb's fingers around the flashlight. Behind them, the voices of the search party fade until there is only the sound of boots, paws, and water slipping from leaf to leaf. Find Noah, Caleb says again. Ranger follows the right edge of the road, then crosses sharply to the left. He stops beside a patch of flattened grass and smells it twice. Caleb kneels. A small heel print remains in the mud, no longer than the width of his palm. Beside it lies a torn piece of silver granola wrapper pressed beneath a stone. It has not fallen there by accident. The shiny side faces upward, catching the beam of Caleb's light. Noah is leaving markers. Smart kid, Caleb whispers. Ranger looks back, then continues uphill. Caleb reaches for his radio. Doyle, this is Mercer. We have a confirmed child track and a deliberate trail marker approximately 1/4 mile northeast of the backpack. Hannah answers through static. Copy. Creek team found broken railing from an old footbridge. We are continuing downstream. Caleb pauses. The creek is the obvious path. A frightened child searching for help would usually follow water downhill toward roads, houses, or campsites. Ranger is leading him in the opposite direction, into higher ground and thicker timber. Any sign of the mother? Not yet. A burst of static swallows her next words. Then her voice returns. Caleb, Weather Service says the storm is moving faster. We may have 40 minutes before the creek crosses the lower trail. Understood. He lowers the radio. 40 minutes. Maybe less. Ranger rounds a fallen pine and freezes. His ears lift. His right paw hovers above the ground. Caleb stops behind him. Nothing moves among the trees. No voice calls through the fog. No branch breaks. Yet Ranger's posture changes, tightening from search to certainty. He steps toward a muddy slope where the road bends around the ridge. There, half buried beneath brown leaves, lies a child's sneaker. Blue canvas. White sole. One lace missing. Caleb picks it up by the heel. It is wet inside, but still faintly warm beneath the tongue. Noah cannot be far. Ranger smells the shoe, circles once, then turns toward the path they have just traveled. Caleb feels the first true chill that has nothing to do with rain. The shoe points downhill. The toe faces the backpack. The deeper impressions around it do the same. Noah has climbed this far, stopped, and turned back. Ranger follows the returning prints for several feet before raising his head toward Caleb. He changed his mind, Caleb says. The words bring another forest to him. Another wet road. Another map glowing beneath red light. Years earlier, Ranger had refused a marked route during a recovery exercise overseas. Caleb had trusted the coordinates instead of the dog. The map had been accurate. The timing had not. By the time they corrected course, a young Marine named Daniel Cross had spent one more night alone than he should have. Daniel survived, but Caleb never forgot the look in his eyes when help finally arrived. No blame. That had made it worse. Ranger had known. Caleb had not listened. Since then, every decision between instinct and certainty has carried the weight of that night. His radio crackles. "Mercer, we need your position," Hannah says. Caleb gives the coordinates. The child turned back downhill. "Then your trail may join ours." Maybe. Ranger is no longer following the footprints. He moves 10 feet into the brush and finds another piece of wrapper balanced on a mossy log. It points sideways, away from both the creek and the logging road. Noah has changed direction again. Hannah speaks more firmly. "Caleb, all visible evidence leads toward the water. Bring Ranger down so we can combine resources." He studies the woods ahead. The gap between the trees is narrow, but several bent stems show that someone small has passed through. Ranger places one paw on the log and waits. He is not confused. He is asking for trust. Caleb closes his eyes for 1 second, hearing rain on nylon and Daniel Cross saying nothing from a hospital bed. When he opens them, he raises the radio. "Sheriff, you follow the creek." "Caleb, we follow the dog." Silence holds for a moment. Then Hannah exhales. "Keep reporting every 5 minutes." "Copy." Ranger slips through the brush. Caleb follows, pushing past wet branches until the logging road disappears behind him. The ground descends slightly, then rises toward a wall of dark spruce. Another silver marker glints near a stone. Beyond it, barely visible beneath the rain, is a second footprint. Then a third, each one smaller and less distinct than the last. Caleb touches the medical pouch beneath his jacket and feels the hard outline of the glucose meter. Ahead, Ranger suddenly breaks into a faster pace. Not running. Not yet. But close. Caleb follows as the forest closes around them, knowing the mountain has offered them 2 trails and that choosing the wrong one will cost more than time. The markers lead Caleb and Ranger away from the old road and into a narrow corridor of spruce where the daylight has almost disappeared. Wet branches close behind them, swallowing the path as quickly as they make it. Ranger moves faster now, stopping only long enough to read each place where the child has touched the forest. A bent fern. A smear of mud on pale bark. Another strip of silver wrapper tucked beneath a stone with its bright side facing upward. Noah is not wandering. He is building a trail. Caleb feels a quiet respect growing beneath his fear. 9 years old, cold, separated from his mother, and still thinking about the person who may come after him. The rain strengthens, tapping against the canopy like hundreds of small fingers. Caleb checks his watch. 6 minutes have passed since his last report. He raises the radio. "Sheriff Doyle, this is Mercer. We are approximately 1/2 mile east of the original search point. The child is leaving deliberate markers through the timber." Static fills the channel. Hannah answers faintly. "Copy. We found the damaged bridge and 1 set of adult tracks downstream. The ground is unstable, but we are continuing." "Any response to calls?" "Nothing yet." Her voice fades, then returns. "The creek has risen nearly 8 inches. Caleb looks at Ranger. The dog is waiting beside a young maple with a low branch stripped of leaves. Caught on the bark is a small piece of red fabric, the same color as the jacket in the backpack. "Understood," Caleb says. "We will keep moving." He lowers the radio and frees the fabric. The edge is torn cleanly, as though Noah pulled it from his own sleeve and tied it where someone could see. Beneath the branch lies a round plastic cap from a glucose gel tube. Caleb turns it over in his fingers. The same brand as the nearly empty tube in the medical pouch. Noah has taken at least some glucose before leaving the bag. That gives them hope. It also tells Caleb the child knew his condition was changing. Good thinking, he whispers. Hold on, son. Ranger noses the ground, then turns sharply downhill. The slope drops toward a shallow ravine hidden beneath thick mountain laurel. Caleb follows, sliding carefully over slick leaves. At the bottom, they find a place where Noah has rested. The imprint of a small body remains beneath a leaning rock. Beside it are 3 crumpled candy wrappers arranged in a straight line, pointing back toward the direction they came. Caleb touches the stone. Cold. No warmth remains. Ranger smells the hollow, then begins circling. Once. Twice. On the 3rd pass, he stops and faces uphill again. The trail doubles back. Caleb studies the marks in the mud. Noah reached this shelter, sat down, and then reversed direction. Not toward help. Toward his mother. A faint electronic chime sounds near Caleb's boot. He pushes aside the leaves and finds a small black device no larger than a deck of cards. It is paired to the recorder from the backpack, perhaps part of a children's walkie-talkie set or a school field kit. One corner is cracked, but a tiny light still flashes. Caleb presses the playback button. Wind rushes through the speaker. Noah's voice follows, thinner than before. I went up the trail, but I heard Mom calling. I think she is scared. I am going back. There is a pause filled by his breathing. I left shiny pieces so someone can follow. I know I am supposed to find help, but she should not be alone. The recording clicks off. For several seconds, Caleb hears only the rain and Ranger's quiet breathing. The words settle into him with a force no shout could carry. He remembers the message written on the school card. Brave means going back. It was not a slogan. It was a decision Noah had already made. Caleb raises the radio. Sheriff, the child turned back for his mother. He recorded a second message. He may be trying to reach the creek from the east side. Hannah answers immediately. Then our paths should meet. Not necessarily. The markers angle north before turning downhill. Caleb looks toward the dense trees above the ravine. He may be searching for another crossing. A roll of thunder moves over the ridge. Ranger lifts his head toward a sound beyond human hearing and climbs the slope with sudden purpose. Caleb follows, pushing through the laurel until they reach a narrow shelf of ground overlooking the creek valley. Far below, searchlights move between the trees like pale stars. Then Ranger stops beside a moss-covered stump. Resting on top is a child's red mitten. Under it, protected from the rain, lies a folded piece of notebook paper. Caleb opens it carefully. A simple map has been drawn in green crayon. A broken bridge. A crooked line for the creek. A square marked old station. And beside a narrow tunnel beneath a road, 2 words written in uneven capital letters. Safe place. Ranger smells the paper, then turns toward the northern ridge. Caleb looks at the map once more. Noah has not returned directly to his mother. He has gone looking for a route that might bring rescue back to her. A child with fading strength is trying to solve the mountain alone. Ranger steps into the fog. Caleb folds the map, places it inside his jacket, and follows. Ranger disappears into the fog for 3 heartbeats, then returns to Caleb's side, as if making sure the man is still there. The northern ridge narrows beneath their feet, no wider than an old porch in places, with whetstone on one side and a steep drop hidden by mountain laurel on the other. Caleb keeps one hand near the dog's harness and the other around his flashlight. The child's map rests inside his jacket, warm now from his body, its green crayon lines more certain than the fading trail beneath the rain. Ahead, Ranger stops at a cluster of broken branches. He lowers his nose, draws in a slow breath, then pushes through. Caleb follows and finds a narrow service path descending toward the creek valley. The scent of rushing water grows stronger. So does something else. Wood smoke. Faint, cold, almost gone. Old station, Caleb says. The abandoned ranger station must be close. Ranger moves downhill with sudden urgency. 30 yards later, the trees open around a small clearing. A weathered building stands at the far edge, its roof sagging, one window covered with plywood. Beside it, the ground falls away toward the creek. Orange searchlights flicker through the woods below. Hannah's team is near. Caleb raises his radio. Sheriff Doyle, I have reached the old station marked on Noah's map. I am approaching from the northeast. Static answers, then Hannah's voice breaks through. We are below you. We found fabric near a fallen tree. Possible adult victim. Ranger is already moving toward the slope. Caleb follows until the dog stops beside a wide oak that has come down across the lower trail. Beneath its branches, partly sheltered by leaves and moss, lies a woman in a tan hiking coat. One leg is pinned beneath a smaller limb, but she is conscious. Her face is pale with cold, and wet strands of brown hair cling to her cheeks. Claire Bennett. Caleb calls. Her eyes open. Noah. The name leaves her like a breath she has been holding for hours. Caleb kneels several feet away so she can see his face. My name is Caleb Mercer. I am with the search team. We found his backpack. Ranger is tracking him. Claire looks past Caleb toward the German Shepherd. Something like relief touches her eyes, but it does not stay. He left me to find help, she says. I told him not to. He was getting shaky. Ranger steps closer and lowers his head near her hand. Claire touches his wet fur with trembling fingers. He likes dogs, she whispers. He trusts them more than people sometimes. Hannah and 2 rescue volunteers arrive from below carrying ropes, blankets, and a medical pack. They move carefully around the fallen tree, speaking in calm voices while Caleb keeps Claire focused on him. Her breathing is steady. Her ankle is trapped, but the larger trunk is stable. We are going to lift the smaller branch, Hannah tells her. Then we will get you warm. Claire nods, though her gaze remains fixed on Caleb. Did Noah have the bag? It was left at a trail fork, Caleb says. He recorded a message for anyone who found it. Her expression changes at once. Not relief. Fear. No, Hannah pauses. What is it? Claire tries to rise, but Caleb gently signals for her to stay still. Tell us. He did not forget that backpack, she says. He left it on purpose. We know, Caleb answers. He used it as a marker. Claire shakes her head. Not only for people. Her eyes move to Ranger. For him. Caleb feels the meaning before he understands it. Hannah and the volunteers lift the branch just enough to free Claire's leg, then wrap her in a thermal blanket. Ranger remains close, alert to every sound in the trees. Claire grips Caleb's sleeve. Last spring, a Marine and his K-9 visited Noah's school. They talked about search dogs and what to do when you are lost. Caleb goes still. A gymnasium returns to him in fragments. Folding chairs. Children sitting cross-legged on polished wood. Ranger wearing a blue service vest. A small boy in the front row asking whether a dog could find someone in a storm. Caleb reaches beneath his shirt and closes his hand around the dog tags. I was there, he says. Claire stares at him. You gave Noah a patch. He kept it inside the lining of that backpack. He said Ranger bit the edge while playing tug with him after the demonstration. Caleb remembers now. A shy boy with light brown hair. A silver star sticker on his school card. Ranger refusing to release a cloth patch until the boy laughed. Noah said if he ever got lost, he would leave the patch where a search dog could smell it. Claire continues. He believed Ranger would understand. The rain drums harder against the leaves. Hannah looks toward Caleb. Then the backpack was a message meant for your dog. Claire nods, tears mixing with rain on her face. Noah left it at the fork because he knew someone would find the bright color. Then he went toward the old drainage road. He thought there might be a phone at the station. Was he coming back to you? Caleb asks. He tried. Her voice breaks softly. I heard him call from above, but the creek rose between us. I told him to find shelter. He said he knew a safe place under the road. Caleb pulls out the crayon map. Claire touches the square marked safe place. That tunnel, she says. We passed it this morning. Ranger smells the paper again, then turns toward the far side of the clearing where an overgrown road disappears behind the station. Claire tightens her grip on Caleb. Please. He has been alone too long. Caleb rises and gives Hannah the medical pouch. Keep the glucose ready. Call the road crew and have them meet us at the drainage crossing. Hannah nods. Ranger is already at the edge of the woods, waiting. Caleb looks once at Claire, now wrapped in blankets and surrounded by rescuers. Finding her should feel like victory. Instead, the mountain has only opened another door. We found your mother, he says quietly into the rain, as if Noah might somehow hear him. Now we are coming for you. Ranger steps onto the abandoned road, and Caleb follows as thunder rolls across the ridge and water begins rising beneath the hidden ground. The abandoned road bends north behind the station and vanishes beneath a roof of hemlock. Branches. Ranger runs ahead with his nose close to the mud, then slows whenever the child's scent weakens beneath the rain. Caleb follows with the flashlight held low, watching for footprints, broken stems, anything small enough to belong to Noah. The old road descends for nearly 300 yards before leveling beside a stone embankment. Water moves somewhere beneath it, hidden but loud, pressing through the mountain with a deep, hollow roar. Caleb raises his radio. "Sheriff Doyle, this is Mercer. We are following the drainage road north of the station. How is Claire?" Hannah answers through heavy static. "She is stable. Rescue is preparing to move her uphill. The team at the backpack found something you need to hear." Another voice joins the channel, one of the volunteers stationed at the original search point. "Sergeant Mercer, we opened the inner seam exactly where Mrs. Bennett described. There is a cloth patch inside." Caleb stops walking. Ranger turns back toward him. "Describe it." "Dark blue fabric. White lettering. Part of a Marine K-9 demonstration patch. One edge has old tooth marks. Rainwater runs from Caleb's hair along his temple." He remembers Ranger tugging the patch from Noah's hands in the school gymnasium, the boy laughing so hard that every adult in the room began smiling without knowing why. "Let Ranger hear me," the volunteer says. Caleb lowers the radio beside the dog's ear. Through the speaker comes the soft sound of fabric rubbing against a microphone. Ranger's head lifts. His ears sharpen. A quiet whine leaves his throat. Not distress. Recognition. There is writing on the back. The volunteer continues. "Green marker. It says, for Ranger, so he knows I was here." Caleb closes his eyes for one brief second. Noah has not left a random clue. He has built a message for one particular dog, trusting that memory can survive rain, distance, and fear. "Anything else in the lining?" Caleb asks. Paper rustles over the radio. A second drawing. The road, the station, and a pipe beneath the embankment. He marked an X on the east opening. Caleb looks toward the stone wall ahead. Vines hang over it like a curtain. Water spills from a narrow gap. Near the base, brown with leaves and mountain soil. "We are at the embankment now." Hannah's voice cuts in. Road crew says the drainage pipe is about 40 feet long. It was installed before the station closed. There may be a raised maintenance ledge inside, but no one has inspected it in years. How fast is the water rising? Too fast. Thunder rolls directly overhead, close enough to tremble through the road. Ranger moves to the edge of the embankment and smells the wet stones. Caleb gives him Noah's command. "Find him." The shepherd follows the wall east, weaving around fallen branches until he reaches a patch of flattened grass. There, Caleb finds another red thread caught on a thorn and one small handprint against the stone. The fingers point toward the hidden pipe. "We found his entry point," Caleb reports. But the opening is blocked. Branches, leaves, and washed-down debris have gathered across the mouth of the drainage channel. Water pushes through narrow spaces with a cold, forceful hiss. Caleb kneels and pulls away what he can, working carefully so the pile does not shift inward. Ranger scratches once at the edge, then stops. His body becomes completely still. Caleb knows that silence. "What is it, boy?" Ranger presses one ear toward the stone. Caleb turns off the radio and flashlight. Darkness settles around them. Rain falls against the road. Water rushes beneath the embankment. At first, there is nothing else. Then Ranger tilts his head. Caleb leans closer. A sound comes from somewhere beyond the wall. Faint. Measured. 3 taps. A pause. Then 3 more. Caleb's heart tightens. "Noah," he calls. "My name is Caleb Mercer. Ranger is with me." The tapping stops. For one terrible moment, only water answers. Then a child's voice reaches them through the pipe, so weak it seems carried by the stone itself. "Ranger." The German shepherd gives one sharp bark. From inside comes a small sound that may be a laugh or a sob of relief. "I knew he would come," Noah whispers. Caleb presses closer to the opening. "Stay where you are. Do not step into the water. Can you see a ledge?" "Yes. I am sitting on it." "Good. Keep talking to me. It is cold." Caleb removes his pack and pulls out a rescue line. "I know. We are going to fix that." He radios Hannah and requests ropes, lights, and the nearest rescue team. Her answer is immediate, but the storm distorts half her words. They are coming. The road, however, is beginning to flood from the west, and the lower team may need several minutes to reach him. Ranger pushes his nose against the narrow opening. Noah speaks again from the darkness. "Is my mom safe?" Caleb looks toward the unseen station behind them, where Claire is being carried out beneath warm blankets. "She is safe." She told us where to find you. The boy exhales shakily. I went back, but the water was too high. You did the right thing by finding shelter. I left the patch. Caleb rests one hand on Ranger's wet shoulder. He understood. A low rumble passes through the embankment. The water at the pipe mouth rises another inch. Ranger steps forward until his chest touches the debris, eyes fixed on the darkness beyond it. Caleb secures the rope around his waist and begins clearing a space wide enough to enter. Noah, listen to Ranger, he says. When you hear him bark, answer us. The dog barks once. From 40 feet inside the mountain, 3 small taps reply. The 3 taps come again, weaker than before, and Caleb feels the sound travel through the stone beneath his hand. Ranger answers with one bark, sharp and steady, then presses his chest against the tangle of branches blocking the pipe. Stay with us, Noah, Caleb calls. Tell me what you can see. For several seconds, there is only the rush of water. Then the child replies, a little light behind me, maybe the other side. Caleb studies the old crayon map beneath his flashlight. The drainage tunnel runs under the abandoned road, but the eastern opening is the one Noah marked. The far end may be open, or it may be buried beneath years of brush and storm debris. Can you walk toward the light? Caleb asks. No. The ledge gets smaller. Noah's voice trembles. The water is touching my shoes now. Caleb looks down. Cold runoff is already spreading across the road behind him, slipping around his boots in thin brown streams. The mountain is filling. Every low place at once. He raises the radio. Sheriff Doyle, I have voice contact with Noah. He is approximately 40 feet inside the drainage tunnel on a raised ledge. Water is rising around him. Hannah answers through static. Rescue team is 2 minutes out. Claire is on the litter and moving toward the station. She is conscious. Send someone around to the west opening. Already moving. Ranger scratches once at the debris, then looks at Caleb. The request in his eyes is unmistakable. Let me go? Caleb removes the dog's lead and clips a small waterproof light to his harness. Not yet, he says. Ranger does not look away. A deep rumble passes through the pipe. Several branches shift, releasing a sudden wash of water around Caleb's knees before settling again. He braces one hand against the embankment. Noah, answer me. No voice comes. Ranger barks. Silence. Then 3 taps, slow and uneven. Caleb exhales. Good. Keep doing that. 3 taps means you are all right. I am tired, Noah whispers. I know. Caleb pulls the medical pouch from beneath his jacket. The glucose gel inside will help only when he reaches the boy. Do you remember me from your school? A pause. You had Ranger. That is right. He took my patch. He gave it back. After he chewed it. Even through the pipe, Caleb hears the smallest hint of a smile. He says he was testing it, Caleb replies. Ranger turns one ear toward him, as though objecting to the story. Noah, keep talking. Why did you draw the tunnel? Mom said old road pipes can be safe in storms if the water is low. The boy takes a shallow breath. It was low when I came in. Caleb looks at the current pushing through the debris. You made a good choice with what you knew. Footsteps sound behind him. Hannah appears through the rain with 2 rescue volunteers carrying rope, helmets, and a narrow flotation board. Another deputy follows with a medical pack. West team is circling around, she says. The road crossing is washed out, so they have to climb the bank. Caleb points to the blocked entrance. We clear only enough space for Ranger and 1 rescuer. If we pull the whole pile at once, the water may surge through. Hannah kneels beside him. Can the dog reach the ledge? He is smaller, faster, and Noah trusts him. Ranger stands waiting, every line of his body focused on the darkness. Caleb secures a lightweight line to the harness. Ranger, find Noah. The German shepherd lowers himself and crawls into the narrow gap. Branches brush his back. Water rises to his belly, then his chest, but he continues, paws searching for stone beneath the current. The blue light on his harness grows smaller until it becomes a moving star inside the tunnel. Caleb feeds the line through his gloved hands. 10 feet. 15. 20. Ranger stops. The line tightens. What happened? Hannah asks. Caleb listens. From inside comes the scrape of claws against concrete, followed by one bark. Not alarm. Direction. The dog has found the ledge. He is climbing, Caleb says. The blue light rises several inches, then begins moving again. Noah's voice drifts through the pipe. I see him. The relief in those 4 words changes everyone's face. Let him come to you, Caleb calls. Keep your hands low. Ranger reaches the child. A soft cry echoes from the tunnel, followed by the rustle of wet fur. He is warm, Noah says. Caleb closes his eyes for half a second. Stay close to him. Ranger barks twice, the trained signal for a living person found. Then the line jerks once. Caleb looks toward Hannah. He is with Noah. Now I go in. Hannah fastens a rescue rope around Caleb's harness and checks every buckle. The water is still climbing. Then we do not give it another minute. Caleb lowers himself to the opening. The tunnel smells of wet stone, rust, and cold earth. Darkness waits beyond the reach of his flashlight. But far inside, Ranger barks again, guiding him toward the small figure who trusted a dog to understand what no one else could see. Caleb enters the tunnel on his hands and knees, keeping one shoulder against the raised ledge while cold water presses against his other side. The rescue rope trails behind him, sliding over wet concrete with a steady whisper. His flashlight beam shakes across rust stains, roots, and drifting leaves, but farther ahead Ranger's blue harness light remains fixed. Beside a small shape curled against the wall. I see you, Noah, Caleb says. Keep looking at Ranger. The boy lifts his face. His skin is pale in the dim light, his brown hair wet against his forehead, and both hands are buried in the thick fur around Ranger's neck. The German shepherd lies close beside him, shielding him from the moving water with his body. He found me, Noah whispers. He always does, Caleb answers. He reaches the ledge and checks the space around them. Noah is sitting on a strip of concrete barely 18 inches wide. The water below has risen over the soles of his shoes and continues climbing in small, restless waves. Caleb touches the boy's shoulder. My name is Caleb. I am going to check how you are feeling. Noah nods slowly. Cold. Tired. My hands feel funny. Caleb opens the medical pouch and removes the glucose meter. The tunnel is too cramped for easy movement, so every action must be slow and deliberate. Ranger watches his hands, alert but calm. Caleb checks Noah's blood sugar. The number confirms what the boy's voice has already told him. It is dangerously low. Noah, I have glucose gel from your backpack. Can you swallow? Yes. Good. Small amount first. Caleb places the gel carefully inside Noah's cheek and waits. Keep your eyes on Ranger, he says. Tell me what color his eyes are. Noah studies the dog. Amber. That is right. What color is his light? Blue. Good. Stay with those 2 colors. Outside, Hannah's voice comes through the radio clipped to Caleb's shoulder. Mercer, water is rising at the entrance. West team reached the far side, but their opening is blocked by stone and roots. Caleb presses the radio button. Noah is conscious. Blood sugar is very low. We are treating now. Prepare the flotation board and keep tension on my line. Copy. A deep vibration moves through the tunnel. Muddy water swirls around Ranger's legs. The dog rises but does not leave Noah. Caleb listens to the mountain groan above them, not with anger, but with the heavy sound of earth carrying too much rain. We need to move, he says. He secures a child rescue harness around Noah's chest, checking each strap twice. This rope connects you to the team outside. I will stay beside you. Ranger will go ahead. Noah tightens his arms around the dog. He should go first. Caleb looks at him. Why? Because he came in first. Even now, the child is thinking about someone else. Caleb feels the old dog tags beneath his shirt, resting against the place where guilt has lived for years. That is how Marines think too, he says quietly. Ranger steps toward the entrance, but when Caleb gives the command to move, the dog looks back at Noah and remains still. He will not leave until you do, Caleb says. Another rush of water enters the tunnel, climbing several inches along the ledge. Hannah calls from outside. Caleb, we are ready. Caleb places Noah onto the narrow flotation board as gently as the space allows. He fastens the final strap and clips the rescue rope to the front. Noah, you may feel the water moving under you, but the rope is secure. Keep one hand on Ranger's harness. Noah reaches forward and grips the handle. Ranger moves first, walking carefully through the channel while Caleb guides the board behind him. The tunnel narrows around their shoulders. Water presses harder now, carrying twigs and leaves against the concrete. Look at Ranger, Caleb says. Stay with his eyes. Ranger turns his head every few steps, checking that Noah is still behind him. 10 feet remain. Then a cluster of branches shifts near the entrance, and the current strengthens. The board turns sideways. Noah gasps. Caleb braces both boots against the tunnel floor and catches the board before it touches the wall. "You are all right," he says. "Do not let go." Ranger steps back into the current and places his body beside the board, steadying it. Together, man and dog straighten Noah toward the opening. Outside, hands reach through the gap. Hannah's voice cuts through the storm. "We have him." The rope tightens. Noah begins sliding toward the light, one careful foot at a time. Ranger follows beside him until the boy's shoulders pass beyond the debris. Only then does the dog allow himself to be guided out. Caleb comes last. The moment he clears the tunnel, fresh air and rain strike his face. Rescuers lift Noah beneath a thermal blanket while a medic checks his breathing and blood sugar. Ranger climbs beside the boy and rests one paw against the edge of the stretcher. Noah opens his eyes. "My mom." Hannah kneels near him. "She is safe, and she is waiting for you." The boy looks at Caleb, then at Ranger. "I knew the patch would work." Caleb places a hand on the shepherd's wet head. Around them, the storm continues over the Blue Ridge Mountains, but beneath the rain a quieter truth has already taken hold. A child left a trail. A dog remembered. And when the darkness closed in, neither one had been abandoned. By midnight, the storm has moved east, leaving the mountains washed clean beneath a sky slowly opening to the stars. At Mission Memorial Hospital outside Asheville, rainwater still shines across the parking lot, reflecting the red and white lights of the emergency entrance. Inside, the halls smell of antiseptic, warm coffee, and damp coats hung over plastic chairs. Noah lies beneath a white blanket with a glucose monitor beside him and color returning to his cheeks. His brown hair has dried in uneven waves, and his small hands are wrapped around a paper cup of apple juice. Ranger rests on the floor near the bed, his head raised, watching every movement as though the rescue has not ended simply because the walls are warm. Caleb sits beside him in borrowed hospital scrubs, his boots still stained with mountain mud. He has answered questions from doctors, deputies, and rescue coordinators, but he has said almost nothing about the moment inside the tunnel when the water rose and the boy held on to Ranger. Some things feel smaller when spoken aloud. Others feel too large. The door opens quietly. Claire Bennett enters in a wheelchair, her injured ankle supported and covered beneath a blanket. Sheriff Hannah Doyle pushes her into the room, then steps aside. Noah sees his mother and places the cup down so quickly that a nurse reaches to steady it. "Mom." Claire presses both hands to her mouth. For a second, neither of them moves. Then Hannah brings the chair closer, and Noah leans forward into his mother's arms. Claire holds him carefully, one hand against the back of his head, the other trembling over his shoulder. No one speaks. Ranger rises and places his chin on the side of the bed between them. Claire lowers one hand into his wet, coarse fur. "You brought him back," she whispers. Ranger closes his eyes beneath her touch. Caleb looks toward the window. Beyond the glass, clouds separate over the dark line of the Blue Ridge Mountains. He once believed relief would arrive loudly, like applause or a command announcing that a mission was complete. Instead, it enters the room with the soft hum of medical equipment and the sound of a mother breathing against her child's hair. Hannah places the clean blue backpack on a chair near the wall. The mud is gone, but the torn strap remains. The red rocket keychain still hangs from the zipper. "The search team recovered everything," she says, "including the patch." Noah looks toward Caleb. "Can I see it?" Caleb takes the dark blue cloth from his jacket. The white letters have faded, and Ranger's old tooth marks still curve along one edge. On the back, Noah's green handwriting has blurred slightly, but remains readable. "For Ranger, so he knows I was here." Caleb places it in the boy's palm. He knew. Noah studies the shepherd. "How?" "Scent. Training. Memory." Caleb pauses. "Maybe trust." Noah nods as if that answer makes perfect sense. "You told us at school that courage is not walking away from fear. It is leaving a trail so hope can follow." Caleb remembers speaking those words in a bright gymnasium to children who were more interested in Ranger than in him. He had almost forgotten them. "You listened." "I was scared," Noah says. "I left the shiny wrappers because they looked like little lights. Then I remembered the patch. I thought Ranger might find it. You also went back for your mother." Noah looks down. She was alone. The answer is simple. It carries no pride. Caleb feels something inside him loosen. Something held tight since the night he chose a map over Ranger's warning and arrived too late to spare another Marine from one more lonely darkness. He has spent years measuring himself by that mistake. Yet a sentence he offered without thinking has traveled through time, settled inside a child, and returned as a path through the woods. Perhaps no life is defined only by the moment it failed. Perhaps Grace remembers the other moments too. Claire watches him quietly. Noah said you taught him what to do. Caleb shakes his head. He saved himself. He left clues. He found shelter. He kept answering us. And Ranger reminded us where to look. Noah reaches down and touches the dog's ear, careful around the small scar on the left side. He did not leave me. Caleb rests his hand between Ranger's shoulders. He does not know how. Morning begins as a pale silver line beyond the hospital window. Hannah leaves to finish her report. The nurses dim the lights. Claire remains beside Noah, their hands joined beneath the blanket. Ranger settles on the floor, but one front paw stays against the leg of the bed. On the chair, the blue backpack stands clean and open, the patch fastened once more inside its lining. Caleb watches the dog, the mother, and the child until the room grows quiet. The rescue is over. The fear has passed. Still, Ranger keeps watch, not because danger remains, but because love sometimes guards what it has already saved.